there is nothing that happened last night that makes me feel even a little bit better about this team after this week. And you can call it an overreaction. The math is the math. The Mets went back to being the Mets last night, 5-game lead in the division. All good. I get it. I think they're going to win the division. I think they're going to win their 93 games. Like I said 5 months ago, I believe all that. I don't think this team has a shot in hell at winning the World Series, like a real shot. And I don't want to do that because, like, mathematically speaking, they have like a 10% chance. So saying that and it plays out that they do, that doesn't make me a genius. I'm saying the thing that is most likely to occur, and I realize that. But I'm so beyond agitated with this team right now. And even what I saw last night, there's like part of me that's like, okay, cool, great. Like the Schwarber thing aside, that's awesome. That's a different conversation. The rest of these guys, like, give me a break. That's how I feel this morning.
David Waitman says you were wrong about the resurgence of Max Kepler with a laughing
I was wrong about the resurgence of Max Kepler. I mean, seriously. So that's where I'm starting today. Like, I want to acknowledge what happened last night being spectacular. And the Schwarber thing is just, it's awesome. It was an awesome moment. If you can't enjoy that, then like, don't watch baseball. But I'm removing Schwarber's night from the rest of it. The rest of it agitates me, if nothing else, actually.
Look, I get it, right? And we talked about this last week, and they could get swept by any other team, and it wouldn't bother people as much as it bothered people this week that they got swept by the Mets. Because it's the Mets. Because it's your division rival, right? Like that sticks in the craw of people a lot more because of who the opponent is. Did they let the Mets back in the race a little bit? Yeah, they did. They could have buried them. Instead, they basically allowed the Mets to feel comfortable about making the playoffs because going into the series, the Mets only had a 2-game lead on the Cincinnati Reds
and then
for the last wild card spot.
LA and played the Dodgers and got pummeled.
The Reds got pummeled. The Mets swept the Phillies, and so like. To me, that race is practically over. So the Mets are going to get in, right? The Mets are going to probably be the number 6 seed in the playoffs. And so now what the Phillies have done, and what's more damning about their inability to win anything up in New York is the Phillies are now in a foot race with the Dodgers for a bye, where they had a 2.5-game lead on the bye going into that series. And now they're tied with the Dodgers. Right now, the Phillies have the tiebreaker, 3 games still to play out in L.A., which, by the way, I'll be there, which is going to be an interesting trip. Since this year, Bob, I should point this out, and this is people are going to hate me for this, but I've covered 10 road games this year.
Well, I know you're in Pittsburgh, and I know you were there this week.
I covered 10 road games this year. The first one was opening day in Washington. They won that game.
Yeah.
Okay.
They overcame the shadows.
Yeah. Great. It was a good start. The 9 since have been 3 against the Mets in April,
God.
3 against the Pirates in Pittsburgh, 3 against the Mets this week.
So the Phillies are 28 games over 500 in non-road games covered by Anthony Sanfilippo this season. Quick math. 1-9.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how bad that they've been.
They probably see you in the clubhouse pregame and roll their eyes and go,
"You're like, oh, what's this guy doing here?" Right? I'm going to be out in LA, right? That ought to be fun. Anyway, so yeah, like this is that's what the real takeaway for me is. Like, yeah, they're in their own heads. Everything about New York was embarrassing.
Well, by the way, if they don't get the bye, who are they going to play in the playoffs?
The Mets, but it'll be in Philly.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the difference. And the Phillies are 22 games over 500 at home this year. Like there's a difference. Again, there's a difference of playing in Philly versus playing up there. Look, they're in their own heads in New York, right? They certainly were. You could see it in their eyes. You could see it in the way that they played. They played a completely different style of baseball game against that Mets team. The Mets dictated the way the game was being played, the pace of the game, everything. And the Phillies just got sucked into it. And as they have, 10 straight times up there. So, like, that's a problem. But it's not. But it's a Phillies problem versus the Mets in Citi Field type thing, not this is a Phillies problem in general. So like that's why I think when I won't say you're overreacting because
you can.
No, but I'm not, because it's an issue against that team in that ballpark. There's no doubt about it. I don't think that there's an issue against that team specifically because you see what the Mets are 10 games under 500 on the road. They stink on the road. And so, like, you bring them to Philly, it's
the
a
Mets have
different
been
game.
one of the worst teams in the National League other than the 3 games that they played the Phillies. I mean, I believe that the Mets aren't that good. I believe the Phillies are better than them, despite what I watched this week and have watched there earlier in the season and watched there last October. Like, I can separate those things, but you know what I really think, honestly, and I know it's a current indictment of the sport. Phillies are right there for a bye in the National League. You watch the other teams. If you focus on the other teams on a nightly basis, you see all their flaws and deficiencies exposed. I get it. We've had this conversation numerous times this season. But when I watch the Mets and Phillies play, I just say these teams aren't that good. Like, neither of these teams are that good. You say that it's a Mets problem and a Citi Field problem. I obviously would acknowledge there's truth in that. But at some point, when you know what the talking, like as an athlete or as a team, when you know what the narrative is, like the talking points are, and you know everybody wants to see something a little bit different from you and to man up or sack up or bear down or call it whatever you want, and then you keep getting the same result over and over and over again, while I do agree that it's sort of like restrictive to the environment, doesn't that say something about like the mental makeup of a team that like they can't figure it out, that they do get spooked by the Mets, that they do get spooked up there? Like, I know they played fairly good baseball this year. Like, it's been overall pretty good. I used the word middling last night over the last 3 months. After last night, they're 6 games over since June 1. It's been like fine. I don't think the Phillies suck. I don't think blow it up. Like, I'm not there, but like, I just don't. Like, I used to credit this team's like balls and its moxie, and like they had that. Now I'm just like, I don't know, man. Like, come on.
Yeah, it is a little bit different feel than what it was in the past. Like, there is certainly a different feel with this team, and it's hard to put your finger on it because there are some nights when they come out and they do stuff like they did last night and put up 20 hits. And I mean, that's the third time in
the last 10 games they've had 20 hits.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? That happens.
I mean, if you go back to the last time we talked, 4 games where this lifeless offense, they suck, they can't do anything. This is why like stats can be deceptive, but they're scoring 7 runs a game this week since Monday.
Yeah.
Now you're like, what's there to hate? They hit 7 home runs last night. I tweeted the stat. I know, like, I actually thought it was like crazy and it didn't really catch fire or whatever. I'm just going to go back to this though. Like, you go, and I pointed it out to you in the middle of the series, but you go back now over the last, whatever it's been, 8 games since they started the NLDS action at Citi Field, and they've hit 2 home runs in 268 at bats. That's crazy. And then against Cal Quantrill last night, they hit 3 home runs in their first 6 at bats. Like, I know that's baseball, but I mean, come on. If flyouts to the warning track and 326-foot fly balls got it done at Citi Field, the Phillies would be incredible. I've never seen a team hit so many warning track fly balls as the Phillies do in that stadium. It's genuinely insane.
We were laughing about it up there. Like, Scott Lauber and I were sitting there like
they're playing with a weighted ball up there.
It's like, of course it was caught at the wall. Of course it was caught on the warning track. Like, it's unbelievable how different it is. Like, and then we're looking up the stats. Like, oh, that ball would have been out of this many ballparks or whatever. Like, it's just weird how that stuff happens. And look, I look at that series and I break it down in 3 ways, right? And Rob said he was really disappointed with the first game. And I get it. Like, there was the defensive lapses in the first game.
Opportunities to bury them.
Opportunities to kill.
Was a microcosm of the greater playoff picture. Like, you have them right where you want them, and then you let them right back into it.
Yeah, you let them off the hook. The second game I thought was a really good game, in all honesty. Like, I mean, there were some umpire.
That game did not bother me.
There were some umpire challenges that were an issue, but other than that, like, I thought that the game itself was a really well played game. I was most annoyed with the third game because the offense just lost 2 games. They just didn't show up. And I know, look, Nolan McLean is really good pitching prospect. There was a lot to be mad about with what happened in New York.
I thought they
Really.
absolutely laid down in the finale. Like, you could have just simulated that game after the second inning. It's like, we don't even need to be here. That's the way that they acted.